Now, there are many techniques out there that can aid someone in bringing a relationship to a close. And in the metaphysical sense, there's cord cutting, there's rituals like you burn a piece of hair of the person, or you burn a piece of cotton representing the tie between you, or something else that represents this bond between you. You can do meditations where you visualize saying goodbye to each other, including if your partner has died or a loved one has died. There's all kinds of techniques that can be used to help someone move on, let go of the hurt, right? And when I was contemplating this I Ching, what I found was this: it's closing an inner connection. And I'll read this out to you, and then you can make your own judgment calls, and then I'll do some more contemplation at the end. Here we go. When an inner connection is when an inner connection no longer exists between two people, the inner channel between them needs to be closed. Otherwise, it can be used by the ego to project negative thoughts and emotions onto the other, thereby to suck on his life force. The closing is done by several invisible helpers. Beforehand, however, you need to ask, with the help of the RTCM, I've done a separate video on the RTCM using coins, okay, whether you still have any ego emotions that need to be eradicated, see above, so the paragraph before this talks about ego emotions, that need to be eradicated, and whether any spells, projections, or poison arrows are still in place between you or on the relationship. On the relationship itself. These can be guilt spells or spells created by inner pacts such as I will always love you, I will never leave you, etc. After these have been deprogrammed, see page 550, ask the helpers to dissolve the inner connection. Closing the inner connection does not mean that you must not or cannot love the other person's true self. It means you are adapting to the changed circumstances. Why this is important, okay, especially for people who do have an open heart, is that we don't want to be the bad guy. Right? We don't want to be the person who shuts down or closes off the other person, or closes down to this person, because we can bump into them again, especially if you live in one of those conscious communities where you are with a person and then you want to leave that person, but you keep on seeing them, and there's this inner connection that exists there. And there can be this temptation to try and create a let's just be friends type model structure around it. But there's an inner thing, there's an inner conflict going on that drains your vitality. So what's important here is to go through this process. And for me personally, I've gone through processes where I've needed to detach from clients, because in my one-on-one work, it's very intimate. We get to know each other, or more, I get to know them. So I carry a lot of their stuff in my body. I carry a lot of their stuff in my psyche. So being able to detach once it's over, once the coaching container, the mentorship container is over. When I do sessions with people, doing this as well. When I've been engaged by someone and I start a pre-qualification process, and then they pull out or they disappear, I need to disconnect from them. And usually I unfriend them on Facebook, but that's not the end, right? That's not the end. There's still a connection there. So being able to close all these inner connections, because anybody that comes into my space, I naturally love them. I love them and I want to help them. And also in that, there can be this enmeshment of our fates. Well, how am I helping this person? Does this person need to learn a lesson on their own? Is there something else here that I'm getting swept up in, that my ego wants to get in on, right? Because the ego's goal in this is to keep itself alive, and it will project all these negative thoughts and emotions onto the other. Like, why are they like this? Why couldn't they just love me for who I am? Why couldn't they just sign up and work with me? What's their issue, you know? And then for me, like my intellect, I had a client recently send me a message saying, John, I think your genius gets in the way of people wanting to work with you. And I'm like, yep. Cassie has said exactly the same thing. Where my intellect is used as a weapon, because the ego loves that. Ego loves that shit, right? I'll create posts about demonizing other modalities, But in that, if that person has done that modality, like for example, if someone spent thousands of dollars on yoga, and then I start ridiculing yoga for its limitations, people get so offended, and then their ego comes up, and then there's no connection there. Like I remove the ability to connect. In that, being able to close the inner connection is very, 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 very important. And like anything in life, you get better at it the more you do it. So if you don't practice it, if you're not practiced using the RTCM, right, throwing the 3 coins, then you're not going to get good at discerning. There's so much stuff I use this for. For a classic example, in sales and marketing, sometimes you're instructed to not reply straight away if someone isn't interested in working with you. You delay it to make it seem like you're not so available. And then last night I was wrapping up, and I was actually working on some content, and a guy messaged me from this new content because I'm doing a rebrand. I'm changing how I do things, including posting less. And a guy that's been following me for a while from some of the previous conscious communities that I was in commented on this post. And I was like, oh, do I reply to him? Or do I play this like coy, hard to get mentor kind of energy? And I threw the 3 coins, and I got a yes, reply to him before you go to sleep. So great, cool. I replied to him, and it's not something that you use to outsource your reality to. It's when you're genuinely in conflict with yourself. And then you ask the sage like a friend, okay? You ask the sage like a friend, hey, you know what? I need some help with this, bro. Because for me, and I don't know if you're like this as well, is I tend to do things on my own. Okay, my hyper independence has been a blessing and a curse in that, where I just don't want help from anybody else. I can do it on my own, right? In that, there's so much knowledge available for us to do it on our own, right? Another classic example of me trying to do things on my own, Cassie helped me take a portrait photo yesterday, and I could feel myself getting so angry that she wasn't doing it properly. And I was like, just give me the camera, go take it by myself. But I've felt that before in multiples of relationships, and because I've built a toolkit of presence, I can feel in my body when I'm starting to step into overwhelm. And that overwhelm puts me in my head and tries to generate all these outs of the current situation, like avoidance, right? So I'll just take the phone for her. She can go take care of the boys while I go to take photos of myself, right? But no, I just stayed in it, right? And we had a great time together. She took a photo of me. It's my new Facebook profile. So back to the closing and inner connection. I recommend, if you haven't already bought this book, either on Kindle. Kindle's a much smaller version. The book itself is quite large, quite uncomfortable to read in bed or carry around. I like the Kindle version purely because I can highlight, can come back to it, I can search really quickly, similar when my Gene Keys book, which I'm selling. It's a very large book. So I like being able to search and save things, and also know when I've looked at this last. Like I've highlighted this before, so I've been here before. And you will find that when you're contemplating this I Ching, that you've been here before, multiples of times. And you'll read the paragraph again. Oh my God, I swear I've read this paragraph before, but now it's landing differently. Yes. As you close these inner connections, more vitality will be available to you. And when you have more vitality, you have more presence. When you have more presence, you can be with the depth of epiphanies and insights and things that you can apply to your life. The application of your insights becomes more available to you because you have more vitality available. In this, somebody who runs the merging or compensated merging pattern will have a lot of these connections with people. Okay, I'm going to say that again. Someone with the compensated or the merging survival pattern will have a lot of these connections. Why? Because they love connecting to people. But in that, they don't know how to discern themselves from the other people. And then they get exhausted, right? They get exhausted maintaining all of these connections. They might even randomly fantasize about people. Oh, I've been thinking about you, been thinking about you, been thinking about you. The people that you've been thinking about, you need to choose whether or not you want to keep thinking about them moving forward. I'll say that again. The people that you've been fantasizing about, or thinking about, you need to think about and be present to. Do you want to keep thinking about them in the future? That's an important audit of your external relationships, right? We're not just talking about intimate relationships. We're talking about ex-bosses, ex-partners, friends of the community, community groups that you've been to and left, someone that keeps popping up in your mind. What's the connection there? Do you want to reconnect to them or not? Are you throwing shade on them? Do you keep on searching their profile on Instagram or Facebook to see what they're up to see if they're sad, if they missed you, right? It can also show up in relationships, right? An ex just pops into your head and you're like, oh, I wonder what she's up to or he's up to. Wonder what he's doing, right? This is because there is an open inner connection. If you want to close that inner connection, I recommend doing processes like this. Very powerful, very potent, very simple. And it'll get you that vitality back, that life force back, that chi that keeps us alive, right? And also brings us the joy and elation of being alive. So if you're struggling being alive and enjoying your life, I'd say you've got a depleted chi. And there's multiples of things that you can do to help restore that chi, including contemplating the I Ching and sorting out your no process, which is also in this book, saying how to say an inner no. All right. Mad love to you all. Thank you so much for watching this, and I appreciate you. And leave comments, like, share it if that ticks a box for you. Bye.